Hi, my name is Jonathan. 53 years old, unemployed currently for the last 2 years. I worked sales for a company here in Calgary, selling drill rig parts. So I worked there for 3 years, and then they decided that I just didn't fit anymore. So they let me go. And that took a big hit on the ego, I guess, because it was a good job. I was making good money, affording to live where I did and have the car I had. After losing that, yeah, things just kind of went downhill from there. You know, losing the car and then being evicted, and I lived with the ex-girlfriend for about 6 months before it started getting difficult. And after that, I made the choice to move to the shelter. And then 2 weeks after that, no more girlfriends. So yeah, it was a huge hit, all in 6-8 months. I mean, as I said, I lost everything. The job was the hardest at first. I moved into a homeless shelter and I've been there for 9 months. When I went to the shelter, almost everyone, I had over 200 friends on Facebook. Almost every one of them stopped talking to me within the first 6 months. And living in the shelter didn't help. 2 weeks after that of contemplating and trying to figure out the best way to leave this world. You know, that Saturday, I can't even remember exactly what day it was. It was a Saturday. I went and I saw my boys, basically said goodbye to them, messaged a few friends saying goodbye, went back to the shelter as if everything was normal, had dinner, conversed with the few friends that I had made there, and went to my mat. Waited until, 9 o'clock when lights go out. Gentleman sleeping next to me woke up. I'm not even sure why, but he woke up and saw what I was doing. Next morning, he was the one that suggested I start looking for counseling, and I got contacted the day after submitting online, and they started looking for me to come in about the week after. I was in the right headspace for it at the time. I wanted, I guess the best term is to unburden myself, and talk about everything that was going through my head. It was messed up at the time. It was very messed up at the time, you know. I mean, I spent that last week trying to come up with other ways to look at life. So being able to open up and talk about that with the counselor was huge for me. Had I not taken the steps to come here and go through counseling and then through group counseling, I don't think I'd be here. It saved my life. It's the easiest way to describe it. With the initial counselor, there was a lot of meditation, a lot of talking about everything I was going through and what I was struggling with mentally. You know, the ego drop on not being able to get a job, even after pumping out 800 resumes. For group counseling, there was quite a bit in the workbook that was helpful. You know, going through and figuring out boundaries and all the rest of that. I realized that I don't set good boundaries for a lot of different things. Boundaries are definitely changing and need to for myself. Figuring out where my boundaries needed to be was very important. That was the biggest takeaway for me, I think, with this. The next will be healthier relationships. So, I'm a work in progress. It's not easy to talk about. I thought it would be easier to talk about after making the choice to come into counseling, but it wasn't an immediate, easy thing to say. It probably took almost the full hour into the session that first day to finally admit that, yeah, that was so huge on my mind. And even coming here that first couple of visits, I mean, I was still in that headspace where life wasn't worth living. I didn't see a way out. I didn't see any way to make things better. Being able to talk openly about it and just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk until I felt. I mean, it was all about depression. I understand that. I understand that that's why I was where I was. Depression is not an easy thing to deal with, especially by oneself. So having the group and being able to talk about, again, everything that was going on in my life at the time. I didn't hold back during group at all. I was open and honest right from day one. They all knew I was living in a shelter. They all knew I was homeless. They all knew that I was struggling to find a job. I'm finding it easier to be a little more open with other people. Again, I'm still setting boundaries as to what they get to know about me and where I am and what I am and how I am. I've got probably a good handful of friends that I've made in the shelter itself that know that I tried to commit suicide, that are there and support me as much as I support them for what they're going through. It is a totally different me. The Jonathan that went in there is not the Jonathan that's coming out. In reality, looking at it 90 days ago, Jonathan no longer exists. Becoming somebody new, somebody different, somebody that never existed before it's like being reborn, I guess. You know, I'm making the decision as to who of my old friend group I'm keeping. Had I not reached out and embraced all of this, I wouldn't be here today. I honestly wouldn't. If I can help even just one person who doesn't think there's a way out of whatever they're into and convinces them to come and seek help, I want to help at least one person change their life, change what they see for their future. Seek help, get it, it works.